Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly astrology video for the week of May 23rd. So this week is very similar to the last couple weeks, I would say. Kind of like I said last week, it's just all very similar to the past several weeks. Just looking at the chart, a lot of similarities, a lot of the same issues and things like that coming up. It'll probably be the same until the end of the Mars retrograde on June 29th there. Even at that, it'll probably continue on a similar path, but better path, until about August 22nd-ish. So about 2 months away, 3 months away, I mean. And, that's when things will maybe start to change up in a lot of ways. On a global scale. On a personal scale, things are always changing, so that will be different. But this week we have, right at the beginning here, we have Venus entering Gemini. This is great for love and communication, great for relationships, communicating in relationships, and, obviously communicating more in relationships is going to be very important. In personal readings, for example, for the past few weeks, a lot of people have been having communication issues in relationships, and it's something that has been coming up a lot in personal readings. So again, it could be something that could help a lot of you out, just improving communication, listening more, and also being listened to. I would say both sides. We have Gemini, right? Both sides of this. So I think it'll be a good week to listen and be listened to as well. Also, this will lead to improvements in regular relationships as well, like friendships and places like that. It's also a very playful position, could be very friendly as well. There's been this long-term thing about friends and getting back together with friends and things like that. And this is also a very playful position. We have like a lot of serious things just looking at the chart this week. Jupiter square Saturn being the one main kind of aspect this week that really stands out. That's very serious and down to work and all this other stuff. So this brings in fun this week, like I said, that kind of gets away from that, just like such that serious energy that's going on here. And also Venus entering in Gemini is great for travel, thinking about traveling, thinking about moving, which again, a lot of you are. So, it's great for all of those things. Next, we have Venus is going to be opposing Mars. This could actually lead to the opposite of what's going on. This could lead to relationship issues, friendship issues, definitely, basically, I said this last week. I don't know what aspect I was talking about, but just no arguments this week. Stay out of arguments. Don't argue. With Venus opposite Mars, what happens is arguments they cycle and they just continue. It's like just this continuous cycling of arguing that just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So if you start arguing with somebody or somebody starts arguing with you, then it's, going to turn into something much bigger. So if anybody tries to argue or anything like that, just totally stay out of it and just tell the other person they're right, or do whatever you have to do to just end the cycle before it even begins. Because again, Venus opposite Mars here can turn these things into something much, much bigger than it needs to be. Also, watch anything, like watch talking behind people's backs, watch the gossip and things. A lot of you in the weekly readings have been getting a lot of fives and in the cards, and fives definitely have to do with like gossip and jealousy. So it comes up in the card readings as well. This position can make us a little bit impatient, and it can make us a little bit bored this week. It could, there is this boredom type energy this week. I think it's important to get moving, though. If you start to find yourself bored, I think just doing something, moving forward in some way, will help you out. Next, of course, we have the big one here, Jupiter square Saturn. And the key here is to basically have a foundation, to have something to build upon with Jupiter square Saturn. I've been talking a lot about foundations. Again, a lot of you get a lot of fours coming up in your readings, all about foundations, building foundations. And then, like I said, the energy is very similar to what's been going on, which is about, instead of just starting projects or starting relationships, making sure that kind of everything is in place so that it can actually have some strength and can have some, have a foundation in a lot of ways. Also, just planning, planning things out is very important under Jupiter square Saturn. But this position can make us really concerned with things that are very meaningless. So that's definitely something to watch out for. It's a position where we can not really be focused on what's important. We can be focused on details that are too small or too big. It's kind of like one of those things where, maybe we're trying to start a new business or something, and we're starting it, but we're just not focusing on what's really truly important. We're not focused on, for example, what's going to make us money. We're maybe focused on like something small that really just doesn't matter. And this goes for arguments as well this week. If you're going to trust me, just don't argue this week, because if you do start an argument, it might feel important at the time, but it will be something kind of small and really truly meaningless. And you'll only realize that later when it could be too late. So definitely don't do that. Jupiter square Saturn is all about really learning to enjoy life as well, learning to let go. I would say that it's a very difficult position because it makes us not want to let go it makes us not want to surrender to like process, for example. It makes us want to like rush and get things done in a lot of ways, especially with this Mars energy that we have going on. So again, it makes it very difficult for us to just truly surrender to life and just allow it to like see where we're going. We want to hold on to things and grip things very tightly. So it's all about just kind of surrendering. But again, it's very difficult to do here. And also, I would say be very kind to yourself again this week. Last week I brought it up. Last week is kind of when this energy started. This week it's going to get more intense with Jupiter square Saturn. Disappointments can be very, very hard for us during Jupiter square Saturn. Like a disappointment could really set us back really far, when normally a disappointment we just kind of bounce back and then keep going at whatever it is that we're working towards, again, whether it's a relationship, business, a job, whatever. But here, disappointments could really, really hurt us. So it's really important to kind of protect yourself and have some ideas on how you could better handle disappointments. Jupiter square Saturn, as far as I'm concerned too, rewards coming up with new solutions, coming up with a better solution to something. So you could have some sort of disappointment, and if you could just turn it into something else, then really you could see really big rewards, and you could really see something really great come out of this. I mean, this is the type of energy where you start a business, totally doesn't work, but if you can turn it into something else, that's where the major success will be. It's about learning from that disappointment, seeing why it had to happen, and then there's always a lesson hidden in there with Jupiter square Saturn. Saturn definitely could be a planet of lessons and being handed harsh lessons and annoying lessons and things. So if you can learn that, and you could again, if anything you're doing, if you could turn it into something else, anywhere where there's a disappointment, that's where the success will be. Again, the challenge here is the fact that this position is very stubborn, and we don't want to turn whatever it is that we're working on into something else. So again, there's definitely a challenge here, but it can be done. It's also a time to definitely trust your intuition. We can become very much more, we can definitely like avoid our intuition under Jupiter square Saturn and not trust it. And it's definitely not a time to kind of neglect your intuition. But it's a great time to, again, work harder towards your goals. This position, I would say one of the benefits of Jupiter square Saturn is if we work on whatever it is that we're working on. Again, I know I'm speaking very generally here, but it has to do with everything. It really does. If we work really hard under this position, it allows us to work hard. It gives us the energy to work very hard. So that's one of the benefits of the position. It's a great position also for managing things, for looking at different ways to manage things. So your finances, looking at ways to improve your finances. There's a couple other things here that we're going to talk about that I think would be a great week to look at your finances, pay down debts, come up with debt agreements, anything like that. It would be a great week to do those things. But definitely don't gamble this week. I wouldn't gamble under Jupiter square Saturn. Even, don't gamble with anything, not just money. Don't gamble with other things either. But you could have a lot of massive breakthroughs, like I said, with this position through hard work, massive growth. Again, if you allow any disappointments that come in, if you allow those disappointments and just go into this week thinking about how you could fix any type of disappointment, or how you could turn it into something great, and I think you'll be all set with this position. But remember, again, strengthen everything and have a foundation. Have that thought of a foundation. Usually if there is a disappointment under here, it's because something was missing somewhere, and it kind of of collapsed. But also kind of helping out this position here, I wanted to look at the chart and I wanted to look at something, if there's anything supporting it. I mean, there's a lot of supportive aspects in this week. I'm not going to go into them all, but Jupiter is, or I should say, Mercury is trining up to Jupiter there. And this is great for learning new things. It makes us think very clearly. Again, this position here with Jupiter and Saturn can make it hard for us to think, but I think we have this supportive aspect that is making it easier for us to think. It adds even a little bit of luck. I still wouldn't gamble, but it still kind of, I think, will cancel out some of that luck removal from Jupiter square Saturn and give us a little bit more luck. It's also really great for mental health as well. Jupiter trine Mercury, or Mercury trine Jupiter, is great for mental health and just being healthy mentally. So, you know, with Jupiter square Saturn there, like people who are born with Jupiter square Saturn can have, not always, but can have mental health issues. So it's great for mental health and great for business as well. The other thing I want to talk about is we kind of have this grand Earth trine still going on, and there's like almost a kite forming up here in the chart. I would say it's a kite, really. And I think kites, to me, bring in really kind of like epiphanies and realizations about things is really what's important here with kites. Kites can be difficult, but it's like through the difficulty that we learn something that transforms our life. So it could be very transformative here with this kite. And then finally this week, on May 27th, we have Mars is going to enter Scorpio, still retrograde, it's going back. And so there's a lot about examining relationships. We talked about this last week a little bit, going over relationships, going over past relationships, even thinking about if you have a lack of relationships, in love and friends and family, if like you're noticing that you have less, a lot of people have all of a sudden, you know, experienced like less relationship type interactions, then maybe this week you could think a lot about how you could fix that if you want to. Maybe you're happy, you know, a lot of people could be happy with less friends. Maybe you just need your close, you know, your close group. If you have like a close group of friends, maybe that's more important than just having some, you know, having too many people. And that is what you'll probably be deciding this week with Scorpio going, Mars going back into Scorpio here. You know, and this is also a great position to think about like what you want to be different in your life. It's a very primal position as well, of course. With you know, Scorpio allows us to go super deep here into ourselves even, and you know, it's all about diving into the darkness and really kind of bringing even things out. I think a lot of people could be bringing hidden things out from themselves during this period of time until the end of the retrograde. You know, a lot of you could be doing that. It's also a great time to look at your power and confidence. Again, Scorpio, looking at, you know, maybe how you could use more of your power or less of your power to do things, how you could become more confident, how you could become, maybe you need to be less confident, maybe you do, maybe you need to, you know, be less confident in a situation. Who knows? And you could be making all those decisions this week. So, like I said, kind of, you know, week's kind of like last week, should be a good week, even with that, you know, Jupiter square Saturn, like I said. You know, I think in a lot of books and things like that, they make this out to be a very difficult position. But having said that, I think the amount of success you can gain from a position like this is far outweighs any negatives that you would experience during this. And, you know, I would say also, if you have experienced any disappointments already, then your success could be coming on the back of this Jupiter square Saturn. Jupiter square Saturn, people in a lot of books also, you know, a lot of books will say anybody who's born with a Jupiter square Saturn, for example, the second half of their life will be like significantly easier than the first half of their life, and will be full of more success and things like that. And so I think that's also true for what's going on here. If you have already experienced disappointments and things, there could be a lot of clarity from this whole thing. So thank you for watching and enjoy the week.